What if the next huge leap in technology isn't some shiny new app, but actually the end of apps as we know them? OpenAI just dropped an announcement that suggests we're right on the edge of a fundamental shift in how we interact with software. So let's get into it, because the whole idea of needing a separate app for every little thing might just be on its way out. First, let's just start with the feeling I think we all know, that digital chaos, right? Bouncing between, I don't know, a dozen different apps and browser tabs just to accomplish one single thing. You're doing research here, planning over there, booking something in a third window. It's just this constant, clumsy dance. I mean, think about something like finding a new apartment. Right now, it's such a pain. You might be brainstorming ideas in ChatGPT, but then you got to switch over to Zillow, manually punch in all your criteria again, 2 bedrooms near a park, the specific price, and then you're just flipping back and forth between the two. It's totally disconnected. But what if you could skip all that? What if instead of you going to the apps could just come to you, right inside a single conversation? Well, that is the revolutionary idea at the core of OpenAI's latest announcement. And here it is, the big reveal from OpenAI's DevDay conference. Developers can now build applications that live directly inside of ChatGPT. Now, this isn't just another app store. This is way deeper. Apps are no longer these separate places you have to go to. They're more like tools you can just summon whenever you need them. And believe me, this is not some small-time beta test with a couple of startups. Just look at this lineup of day one partners. We're talking about heavy hitters in travel, music, design, you name it. Getting companies like Zillow, Spotify, and Canva on board right from the jump, that tells you this is a massive, industry-wide shift that's already happening. OpenAI's CEO, Sam Altman, he really framed the vision perfectly. He said this is going to create a whole new generation of apps that are interactive, adaptive, and personalized. We're moving away from these rigid, static tools and toward, well, collaborative partners that actually get what we're trying to do. So let's break down what app integration really means in this context. It's basically the power to use other services without ever leaving your chat window. ChatGPT is changing from a place where you just get information to a central hub where you actually get things done. Okay, that all sounds great in theory, but what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's walk through a few examples from the announcement because that's where it really clicks. So, let's go back to that apartment hunting nightmare we were talking about. Before, it was a mess of copying and pasting. But now, with Zillow integrated, the whole game changes. The new way is it's a total game changer. You just describe what you're looking for in plain English, ChatGPT gets it, calls up Zillow, and boom, an interactive map pops up right there in the chat. And then you can just keep the conversation going. Hey, which of these have a balcony? Or show me the one closest to the subway. The map just updates instantly. It is completely seamless. And this isn't just for practical stuff like apartment searches. The same idea works for really complex creative work and even learning, thanks to integrations with tools like Figma and Coursera. I mean, just look at how simple this is. You can literally just say, Figma, turn this sketch into a workable diagram, and it just does it. Or Coursera, teach me the basics of machine learning, and a lesson starts right there. You're not clicking through menus anymore, you're just talking to your tools. But this is where it gets really wild. The system is designed to be proactive. ChatGPT won't always just sit there and wait for you to call an app by name. It's going to start anticipating what you need based on what you're talking about. So, for example, imagine you ask ChatGPT for help creating a playlist for a party. Instead of just spitting out a boring text list of songs, it could proactively pull up Spotify, ready to build and save that playlist right to your account. It's a perfect example of the shift from a reactive tool to a truly proactive assistant. So let's zoom out for a minute. You have to realize, this isn't just some cool new feature they've added. This is a complete pivot in OpenAI's whole strategy for building an ecosystem around its AI. To really get why this is such a huge deal, you gotta look at what they tried before. Remember the GPT store? It was this separate marketplace, kind of like Apple's App Store. And honestly, it was clunky. You had to leave the chat to find anything, and developers had a hard time getting discovered. This new way, it fixes all of that. Apps are brought up naturally, which is way better for developers, and for us, it's just a much smoother experience. And they are not stopping there. OpenAI has already said that services for food delivery, groceries, transportation, even hiking trails are on the way. Just imagine ordering your dinner or calling a car, all from that same single conversation. Of course, a change this massive doesn't happen without raising some pretty serious questions. I mean, this all sounds incredibly convenient, but what are the catches? There have to be some potential downsides to think about here.
And these are big ones. First up, data privacy. When you call up an app, are you sharing your entire chat history with that company? Then there's fair competition. If you say, get me a ride, how does ChatGPT choose between Uber and Lyft? And of course, the big one, money. Could companies eventually pay to be recommended first, basically turning your AI assistant into an advertisement?
Now, for their part, OpenAI's official line is that their number one priority will always be the user experience. But, how that actually works in the real world, especially when the money starts flowing, well, that's something we're just going to have to watch. So when you boil it all down, the key takeaway is actually pretty simple, but it's also incredibly profound. We are watching the barrier between having a conversation and taking an action just completely dissolve. Your chatbot is officially becoming a do-bot. And all of this leaves us with one massive final question to chew on. For what, almost 2 decades now, our digital lives have been organized around these grids of icons and these walled-off app stores. If our main way of doing things becomes a single conversation that can summon any service we need, are we actually witnessing the beginning of the end for the App Store as we know it? It's a huge thing to think about. Thanks for tuning in.